Good morning, fam. It is December 1st, Thursday, close to 8:30 in the morning, and I just want to say happy December. Thank you for joining me. And in our plight for justice, we are warriors, and you don't give up the fight, right? I mean, you're going to have some rough times. That's indisputable. I'd like to ask you to please hit the thumbs up. Please like and share if you enjoy this video and would like to see more like it. Also, before I forget, everything I say is simply my opinion, and it is really for the sake of discussion and possibly education and even possibly entertainment, but that is not my motive. My motive is to educate myself, and while I'm doing that, if I can help educate others, that's fabulous. So, let's see. Yesterday I came across a word that I had not heard before, and I shared it with you in my video, or at least in the description of the video. And then lo and behold, right as I'm looking up the words to give more of a description about that, I see on CNN 7 hours ago, Shanika Robinson's death is being investigated as a femicide. Here is what it means. That is very cool. So here is what it means. Femicide or feminicide, and I said it wrong yesterday, I apologize for that. I said feminicide. Feminicide or femicide is a hate crime which is broadly defined as, this is in quotes, the intentional killing of women or girls because they are female, end quote. So definitions of it vary depending on cultural context. So what is the difference? The difference is mostly political. I'll read you that too. Feminicide is a political term. It encompasses more than femicide because it holds responsible not only the male perpetrators, but also the state and judicial structures that normalize misogyny. Holy smokes. I'm thrilled that there's language to articulate this stuff. I literally, honestly did not even know that until yesterday. So it's atrocious that these women get victimized, and it's atrocious the way it is kind of, it seems like excused in our culture or tolerated. I can't tolerate it personally. I don't know about you, but I wanted to talk about a few of these cases. And I really do apologize when I hack up people's names. It's not cool. Shankeela Robinson is the beautiful 25-year-old African American woman that was murdered in Mexico when on vacation with people that she misperceived as her friends. I was mentioning yesterday how it's very likely that that's the same situation, type of thing that took Kylie Rodney away from her life and loved ones. Could be the same thing that took Trinity Backus away from her family and her life. And very well could be the same thing that took the Idaho Four. I do know, of course, I mean, I'm not ignorant, one of the Idaho Four is a male, right? We all know that. There's been a lot of speculation of who was hurt the worst. There was a targeted individual, it seems. I want to say trigger warning. I'm going to try to say these things as delicately as possible, but it's really, really severely disgusting material that is difficult to try to gloss over. And there's no reason to gloss over it. When it's happening, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be questioned. It needs to be examined. So it seems that a lot of people initially thought that it was one of the beautiful young women that was being targeted, possibly by a stalker or even an ex-boyfriend. And then it seems that her best friend potentially is actually the target. So it's really, really sad. And missing in the company of her friends at a party. Trinity went missing in the company of her friends. Shankella was beaten by her friends. Can't call them friends. She was beaten, and these people actually videotaped it and put it on Facebook. So for that, we can thank them because it's going to make it much easier to prosecute them. My fear has always been that Kylie Rodney was videotaped when she was getting hurt. Um, it's a thing these days. It's a gangsta wannabe type of thing with the younger folks. It's very, very twisted, but it's how they get street cred is by putting this on Facebook. Like, why else in the world? So, why in the world would those people that hurt her put that on Facebook? Why would they videotape it and why would they publicize it? They do it for street cred, they do it to show off. And I think we've seen a lot of showing off in Kylie Rodney's case, specifically by Jägermaestro, and by Sammy Smith. So these two that were two of the very last people to see Ms. Kylie Rodney alive have posted many questionable uh, videos and photographs and quotes. And to me, it seems pretty obvious that they are taunting and showing off to their friends, taunting to the public, but showing off to their friends. Look what I can get away with. See, I'm protected. I'm a spoiled little brat. Mommy and daddy got my back. So, um, with Trinity, I just don't know. I mean, that whole story to me is suspect. That whole story of her freaking out and running away. I think that the story that Ashley tells in her long post on Facebook about the mess in the living room, the hair pulling on the bed, the being out on the back porch, the going into the shed to get paintbrushes. I think all of that is her trying to track the movements of Trinity and what possibly could be found in evidence. And I don't believe any of it. I really, honestly, I don't believe that there was hair braiding going on. I don't believe that there was hair pulling going on. It sounds to me like Ashley came home, Trinity and Hannah and her boyfriend, Logan, were there, as well as a mysterious roommate and who knows who else. And who knows what was going on with these people? Logan has a history of being a domestic violence perpetrator. And Ashley is also a person with a rap sheet in her background, and so is Trinity's mother. These people are not trustworthy adults, and poor Trinity was pretty much on her own. I mean, she was not being protected by anybody, in my opinion. So, um, let's get to the Idaho Four. Kaylee and Madison were the two that were best friends. And then there is the ex-boyfriend that Kaylee shared a dog with, who it looks like also went to the same high school. Kaylee's Facebook page is still very public. I just checked it again last night. They have taken a couple of posts down, which was wise of them because not making they were not doing her ex-boyfriend any favors. So initially people thought that Kaylee was likely the target, and now it seems that Madison was more likely the target. The way that that was determined as an opinion is because one of them was more severely attacked than the other. This is where it's a big trigger warning. It seems that Madison was attacked much the same way wife was attacked. All right. So, um, very close to that. So it's awful to say. It's awful to talk about. but Madison seems to be the target. So Kaylee and Madison were in a room together. I'm going to say something else here that is difficult to talk about on video on YouTube, and that is the possibility that Madison and Kaylee were more than just friends. They were like sisters, but there are a lot of photographs that are very suggestive. And there's also some talk that Madison was trying to help Kaylee, trying to inspire her to break it off with her boyfriend of 5 years. And then there's the whole part about Kaylee accepting a job offer in Austin, Texas, and buying this beautiful bright red new Range Rover, bringing it to the college to the best friend to show it off, and then she was leaving. She was moving to Texas, apparently, allegedly. So, tying it in with Nicole Brown Simpson and her injuries, I really don't want to get too graphic, but for people who know what happened there with Nicole's physicality and the attack, it sounds like that's very similar to what happened to Madison with the attack. And that's as far into it as I'm going to go. Both of these cases involved a dog, right? There's always the dogs that are, if they could talk, they could tell us everything. Um, and it's quite possible that the dog was comfortable with the person that attacked these 4 people in Idaho, attacked and killed all 4 of them. Also, there's the story of another dog across town who was skinned a few days prior. I'm not sure the exact date, but it sounds like that beautiful little animal was kind of professionally, surgically had their pelt removed. So very precise cuts around the neck and legs to get the full fur, the way somebody that is maybe a hunter would do. So there's speculation that that was the same person that committed the assaults on these 4 young adults. And there is a person who has been cleared as a suspect for now, according to law enforcement. And that person is reminding me an awful lot of a few other people from other cases in the past. One of those people is Brian Laundrie. Another one is Scott Peterson. Another one is Maestro. And let's start with Scott Peterson. Okay, Scott Peterson, obviously, we know what he did to his deceased wife at the time, Lacey Peterson. And then you remember that Scott Peterson dyed his hair, grew a beard, and was trying to drive across the border to Mexico with a whole lot of cash and other suspicious material in his vehicle and a fake ID of his brother's, I think. So if you've seen any photographs of Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, he literally is looking a lot like Scott Peterson looked when he was arrested. He's got more facial hair. His hair looks a lot darker. He reminds me of Brian Laundrie in that it looks like he's being protected and taken care of by his mama. He also has the dog with him in his possession, and he's not talking. He's not talking to anybody. And of course, if he's innocent, I will eat crow and apologize. But this is the obvious individual to look at. And what really narcissists have in common and what sets them off is a perceived slight or abandonment, all right? So they don't even need to be abandoned. If they feel as though somebody has basically dissed them, especially publicly, that will trigger a malignant narcissist to do some ridiculous harm to a person. Normally, not physical harm of the extent that we see here, but normally, whatever psychological harm they can cause for the person that created that perceived slight or abandonment. So, part of the problem with sexism in our culture is that we are all desensitized. You know, we see these things happening to women again and again, and we just accept it as that level of anger and contempt, even if it doesn't get physical, just the like psychological warfare. It's so dark and evil, and it needs to not be tolerated. It really needs to not be tolerated. So, yesterday, when I misspoke and used the word feminicide when I meant to say femicide or feminicide, um, you know, feminicide is pretty rare. That was what we saw with the Chris Watts case. Um, the the sexism, the contempt for women is just so unspeakable and unthinkable, in my opinion. So, you know, it's bad enough that women are victimized, and then children being victimized. Absolutely disgusting. These people are the scum of the earth. I remember growing up as a kid that boys who fought girls were really looked down upon, right? You didn't hit a girl. That's how I was raised in the 70s, right? So some of these people, Scott Peterson, Chris Watts, they're kind of in my age range. And those two did commit both femicide, and familicide. You know, they decided they did not want to be married, they did not want to be fathers, and rather than getting a divorce like a normal person, they not only took these people out, they tried to play the victim. They both tried to play the victim. Even Jägermeister has tried to play the victim. And those people that do that are the true narcissists, the truly malignant narcissists, that it's all about them. It's all about them. So I want to address the sexism, the misogyny, the violence against women. You know, these are the things that have motivated me to start my YouTube channel. These are the things that motivate me to do a lot of very meaningful work in my life, academically and professionally. Um, and, you know, the other day I made a call to, you know, basically a call to be active, like social activism. And that's my calling. My calling is social activism, both with misogyny and with police reform. The misogyny that ties into police reform, I'll get into that in the next few videos, but police are mostly men. And the most dangerous situation for a police officer to walk into in our country is literally a domestic violence situation. That is where police officers that get injured or worse at work, that's where it happens, is in the domestic violence calls. So it's a very, very dangerous situation for our entire country, not just for the women, but for the men. Like I said, the men police departments are primarily made of males, and those males going into a domestic violence call, they know they can lose their lives. They know it. So why the bull hasn't been grabbed by the horn and these issues, these fundamental issues of sexism and femicide and feminicide, why these issues haven't been addressed head on is likely what I'll be doing my doctorate dissertation on. So I'm going to wrap up here. I want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for joining me in this science experiment called YouTube. And I really, really appreciate you guys. I feel like I have this relationship with not the computer that I'm talking to right now, but with you, with the people that watch and comment and subscribe and share my videos. It's a really interesting process, and it really is similar to an extended friend family type of relationship, and it's extremely meaningful. So a lot of us here on YouTube, will say, we love our subs, and we do. We really do have an affection for our subs and appreciate your attention, appreciate your thoughtful emails, your thoughtful comments. We're all in this together. None of us are in a vacuum. We're I can only speak for myself. I'm trying to make the world a better place, and it seems that a lot of my subscribers are coming from that same type of perspective too. So, what can we do today to help make the world a better place? This might sound silly, but this is one of the things that I really enjoy about gardening. Is in gardening, I would feel like I could take, a square foot of the earth and literally make it a better place. Make the world a better place, 1 square foot at a time, with weeding, with planting, with landscaping, with hardscaping. I really enjoy rocks and brick as well as planting and weeding. But it's all metaphorical. It really is metaphorical. And if you can do something to make the world a better place, whether that's doing something for yourself, doing something for a friend, a neighbor, a family member, um, what can you do for yourself today? And that's why I always like to advocate for drinking your water. That's an easy one, easy to forget too, right? Hard to keep up with. Eating your produce, another one that's easy to forget and easy to do and hard to keep up with. And same thing with high protein. High protein is kind of like the rage with the paleo diet, or back in the 70s, it was like the Scarsdale diet. But high protein really is the most beneficial for the way our bodies are designed. And getting exercise every day is so important. It's not only important physiologically, it's important psychologically, as is meditation, prayer. Uh, Personally, I get a lot of meditation and prayer when I am exercising. So I kind of combine the two. And for me personally, swimming is absolutely the best. That is like the best meditation and prayer and physical exercise all combined into one. And, whatever it is that you enjoy that really feeds your soul, and I'm talking about exercise specifically, but also just your life work and the the things that you create, the things that you do. It's really important to follow your dreams and follow your heart, and I don't feel like we get support in that enough. That is the most important thing. So on that, I'm going to say peace out. Thanks again for joining me. And I'm going to continue to try to do at least one video a day because I just enjoy it too much. I mentioned yesterday I have a big deadline coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm looking at that and just trying to keep my balance, trying to keep my cool. So, again, I love you guys. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.